Welcome to another Too Tall Toby practice model performed in IronCAD. This is a stamped insert, and this is basically done in sheet metal, and we're going to show you a unique way to build this in IronCAD. So we're going to start off with some of our regular shapes, essentially to build out our slot features here. So we'll use our regular shapes because we have a nice slot feature that we can just drag and drop and set these values to 80 plus, plus 40 plus 80 here to get our outside, and then do the same for the inside. And then we can add our two tabs or offset tabs here on the top. And then we'll just use our regular sheet metal. We'll actually convert this to sheet metal. Then we'll add our regular bends to build out this model. And we'll show you how to do this. Really cool features. Basically, we're going to use all of our handles. We won't use any sketches for any of this. So it's really kind of a nice little feature. The only time we'll go into sketch is just basically to put this feature on here, which we can also do with a full round blend if we wanted to, but we'll just do a sketch just for that piece there, and that's all. But otherwise, everything else will be done with our handles, and basically a lot of this stuff is being driven from the center point, so you can see these 160 to the outside. We have some 75 for these outside distance here, and then 30 or 36 to the top to bottom, and top to bottom here is 36 on that as well. So those are some of the key dimensions, and we know that 6mm wall thickness and 6mm radius that we need to deal with. But we'll show you how to do this in IronCAD. So let's go ahead and hop over to IronCAD, and I'm going to put this on my other monitor because I'm going to need to use that for some of the dimensions. But again, we're going to start off with our standard starter catalog, and we're going to drag and drop a slot feature out here. And when you select done, you have your handles. And of course, we're going to select our outside handle here. We know, again, that's going to be the 80 plus 40. So that's going to be the 120 plus our 80 for our radius values on each end to get to the outside. We're going to hit enter again to get to our other handle. We set that to 80, and we know our thickness is going to be 6. So that's going to give us our overall size for that shape, or slot feature essentially, that we want to start off with. And we can do the same thing for the cut, which we can precisely drop in the center and do the same thing. Again, this is going to be 120 plus 50 in this case. And again, we're going to get to our outside handles, and it's going to be 50 for that. And we don't really care about that thickness there. So that's going to give us our starting value there. And now we can do some other things on this. So we can do this, convert this now into sheet metal, or we can actually continue to add some other features. For example, if we want to drop a stock piece on here, we can right click to symmetrically size it that way. And we know this needs to be 80, and we know a distance from our center point. If we right click on this, say edit a distance from our center point, basically to that first outside distance is going to be 75 for that. So we can type in that 75 to get that. And then we can essentially mirror this feature if we like. So we can go into our feature tools, and we're just going to do a mirror feature on this guy. And our plane, in this case, is just going to be this point here, just to mirror to the other side. And that's going to be our starting point. Okay, so to get to sheet metal, we can go to our sheet metal ribbon, and we have a convert to sheet metal part. So we select that, and simply select a face that we're going to start off with here, and we're going to do a custom stock, which needs to be 6mm in our thickness for that. And we're going to go ahead and OK, and that's going to convert us from our regular part, which still keeps us there in case we need to get back, into a sheet metal part. So now we have our sheet metal part, and we can go into our part properties, and we can see some other values here that it is sheet metal, and we need to set our bend radius to 6mm there as well. So now that we have this, we can go ahead and do some more modifications to this. And the first thing we're going to do is go into our sheet metal folder here and get into our bends, which are these yellow items here. So we know that this from the 75, we need to go down on this. So we want to do an out bend, and just kind of show you what's going to happen here. So this is our outside edge. This is where we set our reference dimension. So we want to do an out bend. So when we drop on this bottom edge, it'll maintain that distance from here to the center to be 75. So if you kind of saw that, I'll just delete that. So if you watch that edge there, the out bend is actually going to go straight down and maintain this. And so if you right click on this edit bend alignment, it's going to tell you that's outside. That's what it's doing from the outside, just to give you an idea on that. And we know the bottom edge from here, so it's going to be from this bottom edge to the top is going to be 36 in there. So we can just double click on that because we have it set to our, in our case, we're going to use this outside virtual sharp, so we can just type in 36 for that, and then we can do the same thing here. So we're going to do an out bend onto this edge here, and it's going to maintain that out bend range there. So and this one's interesting. So we know the distance again from here is to the center is a certain value. So we're going to go ahead and edit that distance, and we're going to say edit distance from center point. We're going to select our center point here. In this case, it's going to be 160 for that. So that's going to give us our overall dimension there. So again, this is going to be the 80. Yeah, here if we look at our values down here, it's 80mm, and this is 160 to the center on that. Next, we're going to add some stock to the side here. So we'll just add a stock onto this edge here. And we know this value for that stock is going to be 28 times 2 for that diameter on that, so we know that. And we know this distance from this edge out is going to be 25 for it to go down, so we can simply select this one and type in 25 because that's going to be the full distance of this. Again, we're going to go ahead and do our outbends on this one, so we're going to drop an outbend going down on this guy, and again that distance from the top edge to the bottom is going to be 36, so we can just double click that again. It's the same thing that we did before, so we type in 36 for that value to get to the bottom. Now on this bottom one, we don't want to use the outbend by itself, we want to do the outbend with stock. And what that gives us when we drop this outbend with stock, it still does the same behavior, but in this case it gives us a stock value, so we can actually edit this as a true sketch, in other words. So in this case, we know the distance from this point here is also a unique location. It's actually from this backside edge over here. And again, we can use our handles to do that, or we can say edit distance from point, and then simply select that, and it's going to be 140. So again, really easy to do in IronCAD because we have all these handle capabilities inside of here, and now we can just simply edit that cross section. And again, we're just going to simply just make this arc here for that, and just simply delete this piece here, and we now have that arc top inside of there. And last, we can go down to the bottom of our catalog. We have a custom profile that we can drag and drop out here, which essentially is a cylinder cut, and we know the diameter for that is 28 for that diameter. So that's essentially that shape. And last, we're going to go ahead and add this blend right here. So we'll go ahead and blend that edge, and it's a value of 20 millimeters on there. We'll just go ahead and enter to apply that. So that's basically the side. And we just need to rotate this around to the other side. It's not a mirror because this has got to go up to the other side. So we'll just rotate that, and we can just simply go to our feature tools here and do a pattern feature, and we're going to select our part. One thing we need to know is, well, if we're going to do a circular pattern, we don't have a true center or an arc. So a little trick here is I'm going to go back to my starter catalog, and I'm going to drag and drop a cylinder right onto this point here, so it's on the center point, and I'm going to drag it over to the center point here. So this is just a feature that I'm going to use for reference, like basically think of it as an axis, and then I'll just hide that later. So let's go back to our pattern feature, and we'll select our part. In this case, we're going to do a circular pattern, and we're going to have this option right here, allow suppress source, because we're going to suppress this feature because we don't need it later, so we need to have that checked when we do this. But now we select our features, which we're just going to go down in the order here. We've got our blend, our stock, our blend here, our bend, and our add stock. And lastly, this feature here. And don't forget this little blend back here, so if you zoom in, you get that little blend feature back there. And we're going to do a rotate 180 degrees, and we're going to do a copy twice, so it's got this one and that one essentially. So that's our rotation, and we'll go ahead and hit OK. Now that will create that same shape onto the other side, and we can essentially go to this feature now, and since we had that as allow suppress, we can suppress that and everything will maintain. And last thing we need to do is do these corner reliefs here. So if we go back to our sheet metal, we have corner break tool. Not reliefs, but corner breaks. We can select that part, and we want to do a 10 millimeter, and there should be 6 of them, so we can count those 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's what we want for those, and that's all it takes to build that model. So it's kind of a unique way to do this. Again, only sketch was really this small thing here, and again, we could have done it with a blend, a full round blend if we wanted to, but just showed it that way. And now that we've got our sheet metal part, we can select our part, go to our part properties. It's got a mass density of 7800, so that gives you a mass of 1864 for this part. So fairly simple to do in IronCAD. Again, really nice features that we have with our handles and our in and out bends make it really easy to build this part. So hopefully you found this one useful, and we'll see you on the next model. Thank you.